Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
Have you ever wanted to see us podcast live in person?
Do you want to make sure that we're not just formless spirits floating around in the ether?
Well, guess what? You've got a chance, and it's coming up in less than a week.
Absolutely. This is going to be our first See You on the Other Side live event.
Oh, man.
And we're starting them on St. Patrick's Day. We got a special live event from Alton, Illinois, Mavis Coffee House, 6:30 p.m. It's totally free. And we're going to be hanging out. We're going to be interviewing Luke Naborinsky, who's an Alton hauntings expert. And then Wendy and I are going to be playing some acoustic songs for your listening pleasure.
That's right. And then the very next day, Wednesday, March 18th, we'll be in Little Rock, Arkansas at the Rev Room. And we're going to be interviewing Linda Howell, who's a local expert on Little Rock, Arkansas history and hauntings.
That's very exciting. I don't know very much about hauntings in the South, so I'm excited to get this.
Same here.
Hear some.
In fact, I'm shivering with anticipation.
Yes.
So please stop by and join us, or if you know anyone in either of those cities, have them stop by, and we might even have a little gift for you if you mention that you heard this.
Awesome. We'll see you there.
Bye. Mike, it is still light out.
Yeah, it's 10 after 7, and it's just getting to be dusk now. So that's really something else.
We leaped forward today, or leapt forward today.
Yes, I leapt forward today.
And, I was really excited about it because at around 6 o'clock, I was like, it's fully bright out still. But then I realized at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, it's going to be dark still.
It's going to be dark. It was nice. I wake up at 6 every day. I'm trying to, in my journey to become a morning person, because I was a night person for so long, and I'm trying to become a morning person instead because I think I can be more fresh or be more useful or be a better human by doing that.
Well, good for you for the self-improvement efforts.
Thank you. I don't think it's worked, but I do think that
that takes time.
Sometimes I just I like it early in the morning. I feel like I can get more done, and then I don't have. Sometimes late at night, your head is just swimming, and you have all the crap from the day sitting in there, gunked up.
You just need to sleep.
Yes. Yeah.
No, you know that I'm a morning person and fond of waking up really, really early and doing things like working out or just getting little bonus tasks done in the morning. But it was not an easy chore to get myself to do that. So
no. Well, you know what our friend Martin Atkins says.
I do. I do.
He says, get the blank out of bed, and that's his particular way. And he said because he wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day, and he goes, if everybody else wakes up at 8 a.m. or starts to get to work at 8 a.m. or anything, by the end of the month, you will be 40 hours ahead of everybody else who wakes up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right, because you can get all those little bonus activities in before the normal day starts. And that's why I always kind of enjoyed working out in the morning, because I always felt like as much as it sucked getting myself out of bed and out into the cold and to the gym, like once the workout was done and I left the gym, I'd feel like, no matter what else happens today, I accomplished something good that I feel really good about. So I could leave the gym and then the rest of the day could be awful and it'd still have something chalk one in the win column, I guess.
Well, I like doing something like my physical challenge early in the day. Like if you get your hard workout or any kind of workout or anything physical done early in the day, I figure the rest of the day, the hard stuff is just going to be head stuff. It's just going to be stuff you got to think your way through, and that's
not always easy either.
No, it's not. But I feel that you can force yourself to stay awake and work on something. You can force your way through with your head in a lot of things. But if your body fails or you can't do something, like there's certain physical limitations you can't quite get over.
Yeah, the machine needs to be operating.
Right.
In working condition.
Yeah, you can think your way past writer's block. You can think your way past, all these different things. But if your body can't do it, you have those physical limitations. So once you get past a physical challenge early in the morning, your hardest part of the day is done.
That's true. That's a good little tip there. And this self-improvement chat has been brought to you by
See You on the Other Side podcast.
It's fun though.
Making your life better since 2014.
Yeah. And if you have any helpful suggestions for us for these types of things, we're kind of fans of working on ourselves. Personally, I know I have a lot of work to do to get to where I want to be and to do the things I want to do. So whatever advice I can get from any kind of
absolutely
self-help book or whatever.
No, it's all about
take it.
It's all about trying to get better in whatever you do, and I think that's important, and that's what we all struggle to do. So
yes,
we've been recording early lately too. The producer that we work with in the Milwaukee area, he likes to start at 9 o'clock in the morning. He's probably
really
the only person in music that we have ever met that's like up and at it. Like 9 o'clock, he's like, we're going in and doing it, and we'll get there. He's like, yeah, I've been mixing on this since 6, and I've never met someone else in music who's like, let's get going early. It's always let's start recording around noon and then we'll be done at like 2 a.m.
And a lot of the recording studios, like the first place where we recorded our first album, they recorded during the non-business hours because the loud sounds would disrupt the businesses around the recording studio. So it was like, well, the regular people work 8 to 5, and then the recording studio works from 5:30 till 4:30 in the morning or whatever.
So when you're done.
Yeah. So, and plus musicians are just used to being up late and, sleeping during the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I when I think about though people that are working and guys that work in mixing and recording and stuff like that, they really do have one of the hardest, most thankless jobs in the world, because the bands are always pushing to finish, and it's always the recording studio guy, the engineer is always at the mercy of that, and it's always working all night. It's always working to the last minute, and
also, I mean, a lot of the stuff they do is thankless, like repetitive. I mean, it takes listening to the same thing over and over and over about 1,000 times, the type of thing that would drive a normal person completely insane. And that's what they do regularly. Bread and butter.
Right. Their job is to do something that makes normal people completely insane.
Right.
Which I guess says something about people that work in the music industry.
Yeah. But it's quite a talent. So I respect the thing. But this weekend we had fun. We recorded some vocals. We recorded some violins. We recorded some bass. We got a lot done. So our new EP is like coming together very quickly. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah. It really was fun in the studio yesterday. And, one of the songs that we worked on, we actually debuted in the third episode of See You on the Other Side. And that was our Election Day special about the Anunnaki,
the lizards that rule the world. Nice job on the unison there.
Well done. And that track is called Hottie Illuminati. And that's what we kind of wanted to talk about today, give people a primer on the Illuminati, because I think that more people have heard about the Illuminati, the global elite, the conspiracy to rule the world now more than ever.
This is true. It's a topic that's covered everywhere. I mean, just Google it once and it's
right. When
you'll be entertained for hours.
When we were doing research for this particular episode, like there's stuff on Slate.com about the Illuminati, Rolling Stone. We'll talk about a Rolling Stone article about the Illuminati in a little bit, and it just seems like it's all over the internet. So if you're wondering what the Illuminati is and a little bit about what they're up to, the Global Elite Plan, we're revealing the Global Elite Plan for the human race in this episode today.
That's right. And before we dive right into it, Mike, where can people go if they want to just find the links to the things we're talking about, or they're curious, they want to reread something, or, maybe kind of see an outline of what we've covered? Oh, yeah.
You're going to want to go to the show notes at othersidepodcast.com, because that's a chance you can go. That's for the deep research. Like if we've whet your appetite on conspiracy theories and the Illuminati, like the show notes are always the place where you can find more in-depth articles, and we provide for you the click hole where you can get lost for several hours in reading about this stuff. Because I have, like, I just get
as well.
Yeah, I'm like a Wikipedia addict.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the things I read on Wikipedia, like I can sit there and just look. I wonder about the Incredible Hulk in the 1960s, and let's just look at the Incredible Hulk for a while. And then I'm reading about the Incredible Hulk for like 2 hours. And I'm like, why did I just read about I could have read I could have read 50 comic books, but instead I just read about the history of a character.
Right. Well, I'm sure if it interested you and it occupied your time,
yeah,
what the heck, why not?
Well, I'm the original definition of the word geek. So we always laugh about the term geek, but where does it come from? It's from freak shows. And so freak shows would have a geek, and a geek would eat anything. So a geek is someone who's hungry for any information about a topic. And so I've always been that kind, like a geek. Like my mother would have books about TV shows and music and everything like that because she was always into trivia. So she was always doing trivia contests, and she'd have these
that's where you get it from.
She'd have these source books that she would just get out of the library and just leave the source books hanging around the house, and then she would read them when she was looking to be, a trivia contest, and she would use them as reference books.
Okay.
But then I would just read that while I was watching TV as a kid.
Oh, that explains it. You guys, if you ever have to play Trivial Pursuit, get on Mike's team if you can. Don't be on any team opposing him.
I'm not as good as I used to be.
I don't know,
because
man.
my topics are too esoteric now. There's no conspiracy theory Trivial Pursuit. They have Disney Trivial Pursuit, they have Star Wars Trivial Pursuit.
True.
But they don't have things on like Bigfoot in the 1970s Trivial Pursuit, unfortunately.
But like the general like the general trivia games when you go to a bar or something like that, Mike will totally kill. Like if you have him on your team, you will win. The only thing I'd say, you're the only area where you're lacking, which me too, is the sports.
Oh, yeah.
But even that, you probably know more than I do.
Yeah. Well, sports, I can tell you about the 1982 Brewers, and I can tell you about the 1997 Green Bay Packers, and that's really about it. That's like when Wisconsin had championship teams, I knew about it.
But all the other little pieces of trivia pie you got, so you're good. That compensates for the lack of the sports one.
I have my moments, especially on arts and literature and entertainment. So anyway, the Illuminati is what we're talking about today, and
yes, let's get into it.
Yeah, because people are they talk about our pop stars being as part of this conspiracy. Obviously, anybody in the government, and I'm finding when I'm going on Twitter and meeting people and talking about paranormal stuff and everything, that people are really into conspiracy theories. People are, it's alive. It is alive on the internet. It's alive on Twitter. Like the retweets and the people, they find the obscure symbolism in music videos and everything. It's pretty exceptional.
Okay.
And the fact that the Illuminati was a secret society created on May 1st, 1776.
Whoa, that's a long time ago.
Right. So we're talking about an organization that was a real organization in Bavaria in the 18th century, in the last quarter of the 18th century. And so there was a guy named Adam Weishaupt, and what he was interested in doing was he was trying to find ways to oppose superstition and religious influence over public life and state power at the end of the 18th century. And so in their general statement for what the society was, they said they wanted to put an end to the machinations of the purveyors of injustice to control them without dominating them. So they created this secret society in Germany to oppose the church's influence on the government.
Wow.
Okay, so that's kind of where it came from, and so
that's the origin.
Yeah, and actually, the Illuminati didn't last very long. So, like the original group was disbanded in just a few years. They formed to try to have more non-religious influence on government, but the name stuck, and the thoughts and what they were trying to do stuck through time.
Do you know why they dispersed?
Well, I think there was some internal conflict.
I see.
And they attempted to expand, and there were some conferences that didn't go well, and the government of Bavaria in the 1777, he banned all secret societies, including the Illuminati.
Okay, so it was a dangerous thing to be a part of.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so it kind of disbanded because the government put a kibosh on it.
Okay.
Kind of like the Pirate Bay.
It's a fair reason to disband, I guess.
Yeah. But the thing is, we still have had secret societies exist over time. there's things like the Freemasons and and we'll have a whole episode on Freemasonry and the fact that so many of our leaders have been Freemasons,
So interesting. It's just strange to me.
Right. And I watched a really good show on Freemasonry once, and it really came down to the fact that when people left the farm, when our society moved from agrarian, that's not even a thing.
You can add a little extra syllable now
Sure.
and then. It's okay.
Agrarian to more of an industrial society, men left the home. So fathers weren't hanging around their kids all day. Their kids were going off to be educated by the state. And, not just rich people who would send their kids off to schools. It was every family, especially in the United States. You think about, we've had mandated state education since day one. That was part of the Constitution. So people were being raised by people other than their parents. And so you kind of missed some of that male bonding between the father and son. So secret societies were just, it's just guys love to form groups, love to form
the brotherhood.
Yeah.
Brothers.
Right. You always like to feel you're part of a group. It's just part of the human condition. And these secret societies gave people something special to join. Now,
What about the women?
Well, women can be Freemasons and stuff now. Yeah. Yeah. There was still some rampant sexism. Not that there's not rampant sexism.
Yeah, right. Of course. No, this was during the time when, that was not uncommon.
Yeah. And also, women are more oriented, or, at the time and everything, they had that special bond with their children. And so women were staying at home with the children too. And men just did not have those kind of bonds. And so they, unless you were in the army or something like that, you would get those, a lot of people got those bonds in those secret societies. So the thing is, the Freemasons, they continued on. They went on, these different secret societies. There's a Skull and Bones Society at Yale and things like that. Fraternities that we have at our modern universities, all this kind of stuff. These societies exist. And a lot of our powerful, the people that are in power, like we said, secret societies at things like Yale, where plenty of our leaders go to school, the Ivy Leagues and things like that, they are products of these societies.
Right.
And so anytime you have a society with secret rituals and things like that, people are going to think there's a conspiracy behind it. And, and that's just, you tend to give jobs. Nepotism exists not just with the family, but with people you have bonds to. Think about in the music world, how many times that, shows get booked because they're friends with the booker.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And business is the same way, too. I'm going to buy this product from you as opposed to from someone else because you're my buddy.
Right. And half the time, I don't know if it's a conspiracy or people just like to work with people that they know and everything.
Yeah,
but
sure.
these secret societies continue to exist. And when you get into the aftermath of World War I, so World War I obviously is horrible. Nobody's seen a war like it. If you haven't listened to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History series of podcasts on World War I, it's like 3.5 hours of podcasts that go through each year of the war.
Oh, yeah. I just did the Wrath of the Khans. I got through that.
Oh, that's a good one.
But I haven't done the World War I yet, so.
And he's been working on, he's been on World War I for 2 years now.
Wow. So when did it come out?
Well, he just had a new one come out in December.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's a good one. But since it takes 4 hours to get through each one, it'll take me 2 weeks to listen.
Sure.
I don't listen, because
You don't speed listen to him?
No, I can. Hardcore history is such a joy. I consider hardcore history that's
you want to take your time.
That's my good time podcast, even though it's World War I and it's not a good time at all. But,
right.
I listen to that to relax.
Okay.
And
to each his own.
Yeah. So I just really suggest that but the World War I is such a horrible thing. It affected so many people. They call it the war to end all wars. Never in human history before have we had that kind of destruction.
Not even with the Mongols.
Well, the Mongols did a lot of bad things, but they didn't have tanks.
Okay, fair enough.
They didn't have tanks, and they didn't have mustard gas. And trenches and all this warfare. And when we were talking about the 18th century before, and so in Europe, when you had professional soldiers and everything, the regular farmer or whatever wasn't just conscripted to go off to war. And in World War I, you had total war. So Germany they were bringing in everybody. So their war machine was every German. Was
wow.
contributing to the war effort.
Mm-hmm.
And it just never had armies that big fighting each other before. You had more people die in one day in some of these battles than died in the Revolutionary War, in any of these 100 Years War, things that had gone in history. So
how does this relate back to the Illuminati?
Well,
please,
because what happens after World War I is that we form the League of Nations. Woodrow Wilson. So now there is a organization dedicated to policing the world,
because nobody wants to go back to that type of war state again.
Right. And so they're trying to do that. And so the League of Nations that's the beginning. And a lot of people are like, well, that's also the era, like 1912 is when the federal income tax came about. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't like the federal government, that whole era of the beginning part, the beginning part of the 20th century is horrible for you. Because
that's when people start getting surly.
Yeah, we're getting closer to a one world government. All of a sudden, somebody else has their hand in your pocket, and people are upset about it.
Okay.
And then World War II happens, and we have weapons that are capable of destroying populations in a minute. So, Hiroshima, 50,000 people died in a matter of seconds. And that kind of destruction would lead people to want some kind of order where those kind of things don't happen again. And then we have the United Nations get formed out of that and things. And that's when also that era of the Cold War after the Second World War is where we start getting more of the modern conspiracy theories about the Illuminati. Take the John Birch Society in the 1950s. Now, the John Birch Society.
Who's John Birch?
Well, John Birch was a guy that hated communism.
Okay.
So the John Birch Society is totally against communism because communism represents the antithesis of the United States. It also represents an atheistic government. Soviet Union and China and everything are officially atheist governments. There's no in God we trust on their money.
Oh, I see.
So if you believe in your God and country and things like that, then a communist government where they redistribute the wealth and they take any kind of religion out of the equation, that's going to be completely the opposite of what you want. And so the John Birch Society and the Red Scare and all these things were scared of communists in the 1950s. They're wary of this new world order that is going to have one world government controlling all of us. So instead of the U.S. and the Soviet Union, it's going to be the United Nations who are calling the shots. And they just think that we're going to lose our freedoms. And also that we're going to get religion taken away from us. And that also it's a bunch of brainy, elite, educated liberals who think they know what's best for everybody.
Okay.
And so, people talk about the nanny state. Under the one world government, they'd be afraid that the nanny state would be crazy. Whether it's not just, so then it's not just smoking in bars. It's how much sugar you can consume. It's not being able to get any soft drinks larger than 20 ounces in New York City anymore. Okay. It's all these things.
And I mean, everybody has differing opinions. So it's like, if you're going to incorporate a population as large as the entire world, then of course you're going to have more opinions and more, disagreements.
And so, the John Birch Society was against the New World Order because they thought it would usher in a world communistic, atheistic government. And that kind of started to get worse. As far as the worries about it started to get worse when you start getting into the 1980s and 90s. So in the 1980s, we have The Watchmen, which was a comic book by Alan Moore. And The Watchmen it's really what brought comic books kind of into the adult world. And I don't mean like adult store novelties and things like that. I mean adults as in comic books just aren't for kids.
Yeah, it's a graphic novel. It's not a comic book.
Exactly, and that's The Watchmen is the first graphic novel. Like Time Magazine says that all of a sudden Time Magazine says it's one of the most important books of the year. Things like that. And so don't listen for the next 1 minute if you haven't read The Watchmen. You don't want to spoil it. Familiar if you don't be spoiled. But the end of The Watchmen is all about this one of the superheroes in The Watchmen is super intelligent. And he's super rich and super intelligent, and he wants to eliminate wars in the world. So what he does is he manufactures an alien threat that destroys New York City. So millions of people die, but it brings together the world in peace. And that's not even that outrageous. That's just a comic book. But in 1987, President Ronald Reagan speaking before the United Nations, and he says, "Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world." So you have the President of the United States talking about exactly what the end of the Watchmen is.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Right. So, that's weird in its own way. And then in 1990, at the end of the Cold War, George H.W. Bush, in a speech, mentions in his discussion about how we don't have to be afraid of the Soviet Union anymore. He talks about the New World Order. He says it right up that there is a new world order. So
he uses those very words.
Yeah. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're like, holy crap. They just confirmed exactly what we were talking about.
Oh, people must have just gone crazy.
Which is, that's what we see on the internet today.
Sorry, can we just go back for a second?
Sure.
So the people who went crazy, they thought that he was talking about an organization that is trying to guide the world population into one sort of common government.
That's right.
And that is what the Illuminati would have been defined as.
Right. The Illuminati is a group of the global elite, super rich, well-educated, of people that think they know what the human race should be up to.
I see.
And so they think they know, the idea is that they know better than individuals.
Okay.
And, people who have used the term New World Order, to some people, it wasn't a bad thing. The writer H.G. Wells, if you've read The Time Machine or you read War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells talks about a New World Order being something good. He was a socialist that believed in a planned economy and things like that. And he used the term not as a negative thing, but as a positive thing. But also, a worldwide socialist government is exactly what people who are opposed to the Illuminati and the New World Order don't want to see happen.
Yes, right.
And, and they say now that the Illuminati, they meet at this conference of a group called the Bilderberg Group, is a meeting that happens every year. It's an annual private conference of approximately 150 political leaders from industry, finance, academia, all over the world. And the original conference was held at this Hotel de Bilderberg in the Netherlands in 1954. But, now when they have these Bilderberg conferences, people think of it as, this is where the Illuminati meet to decide where they want to take the human race. And if you ever listen to Alex Jones, prisonplanet.com or infowars.com, he's the guy. He's always trying to break into the Bilderberg conference and, expose the truth out of it and everything. And he's very fun to listen to. Talk show host out of Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Oh, cool.
It's funny. So,
maybe we'll see him when we're down there.
I hope so. Today, but
I hope so.
I thought it was great. I think I was right next to one of Alex Jones's biggest fans when I parked at the co-op today. I was at the Willie Street Co-op West getting my groceries, my organic bananas, and
very healthy of you.
And so I parked next to a guy, and he's got an Infowars.com bumper sticker and a bumper sticker that says, "Fluoride. There's poison in our water."
Oh, man.
And that's one of the things,
That's a disturbing thought.
Well, the idea that the water that we're, given and then vaccinations and everything are part of the government conspiracy to control our minds. Well, that's exactly what the Illuminati and the Bilderberg Group and everybody would do, because they are trying to control the human race to get it towards what their plans are. One of the things is the euro. And so the euro, one currency then used over most of Europe. And a lot of people think that they're trying to make the Amero, which is one currency throughout North America. And that's the first step towards
Oh, wow.
towards that one world government is to have one currency used in Canada and the United States and Mexico.
That would be so convenient. You wouldn't have to exchange cash every time you
Right, and you
cross a border.
And you wouldn't be burned with that 2%, like that international
the bank fee.
Right, and that's always a screw job. And then, the thing is about those kind of rates and exchange rates and everything is that they can change. When you were just in France, Wendy, how
Yes.
was the euro when you were in France?
Oh gosh, that was in September. Not awesome, but it wasn't the worst that it's been, I guess.
I was in Europe when it was the worst that it's been.
Oh dear.
Where the euro was like 1.75 American dollar.
No, it wasn't anything like that when I was there. It was maybe like 1.2 or something.
Oh
like that.
man.
1.3 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, but the thing is
Less.
those exchange rates can screw you in how much you're paying for stuff. You're like €5 for a Heineken. Get me out of here.
It is. It's stressful too when you're shopping and stuff and you're trying to do all the math in your head and you're like, okay, how much is that really?
Right. So I understand that I don't want to be controlled by a one world government either, but I tell you, I don't know if I want to put up with these exchange rates. And when I was in England, it was like £2 for a dollar.
Well, it's not just the exchange rate too, but it's like every transaction, the bank gets their little fee and their little cut of like, ooh, I'm changing your currency for you. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. No, my credit cards now all have no international fee on it.
Yay.
So
that's pretty sweet.
that's the Barclay arrival card, everybody. This podcast brought to you by
It's not. No.
Barclays.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
All right. But anyway, so these are all the opening shots into the one world government. The League of Nations, then the United Nations, then the Euro, and maybe the Amero. And all of these things are just part of getting the human race under one kind of leadership. And that's what these people are opposed to. That's the Illuminati.
Yeah, okay.
And they're steering it away from what a lot of Americans would consider the things that make them American. Number one, their right to be anonymous, their right to be free, their right to be their right not to live free of government intrusion. That's what they're
privacy, basically. Yeah.
So anyway, but we should start talking about the way that the Illuminati are putting in our pop music, the way they're influencing.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're talking.
Because that's the thing. Like
they're trying to brainwash us through our what we're listening to.
Yeah, that's people say it's manipulation, and they're using the pop music that we listen to, and they're putting occult symbolism in that to kind of get the messages of the Illuminati forward.
Weird.
And the first way they do that is through the all-seeing eye.
Dun dun.
And if you've seen National Treasure, do you ever see National Treasure with Nicolas Cage? Like,
no.
Okay, the symbolism on the dollar bill. Okay, so I don't have any dollar bills. I wish it did.
Dollar
But I don't have any dollar bills on me, but I'm looking at one on the internet.
Okay, sure.
You look at your dollar bill, and you were just saying this before to me. Like, it seems, okay, the eagle, that's one thing. George Washington, okay, he was a founder of the country. That's another thing. Why is there a pyramid with a giant eye on top?
That is a little interesting.
Okay.
Isn't it? Curious.
The all-seeing eye, the eye of providence. It's, an eye surrounded by rays of light, usually enclosed by a triangle. Sometimes interpreted as representing the eye of God watching over humankind. Divine prominence.
Okay.
And a lot of religions have used that kind of eye in their symbolism. The eye of Horus from Egyptian mythology is the first big one that we probably all know about. So they were using that on the dollar bill to represent that, because, hey, the whole "in God we trust" thing we talked about with the Soviet Union is not in heaven, God we trust, and we do. And divine providence is kind of baked into the early part of the United States. It's why we have,
Sure.
our God-given rights.
Because of the group of people who founded the country, and that was their belief. And
Right.
They put it into everything.
Right. And so we are, endowed by our creator with unalienable rights. That's the kind of thing. But the thing is, the eye of providence is also associated with the Freemasons. It's part of their iconography of the Freemasons since the late 18th century. And, some guy was working on a Freemasons publication, and he's got the eye of providence just sitting there looking at you as a reminder that the Masons are going to be observed by God. And that kind of symbolism and the Eye of Horus and the occult and everything. Well, that's what people are saying they see in music videos. I'm looking at a picture of Lady.
What?
I'm looking at a picture of Lady Gaga here from one of her performances on Good Morning America.
Okay.
And she's got like an A-OK symbol over her right eye, you know,
Okay.
and people are saying, well, that's Lady Gaga looking at us with the all-seeing eye of Horus.
Sure.
And, you know, people connect that symbology with the third eye, you know, they say that we have.
I'm going to start doing that on stage.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
And I'm sure you've heard about the third eye, right? That we have this
Yes, of course.
eye inside of us with a spiritual purpose.
Right. Yeah. When you meditate, you focus on that, and that's what you're supposed to, you know, focus on sending the good thoughts and things through the third eye.
Right. Well, that's part of that occult symbolism because, you know, that third eye and that non-Christian symbolism of it is people associate that with the Illuminati. And so Lady Gaga doing that. And, you know, there's the Dark Horse video for Katy Perry. And, you know, Katy Perry's she's actually in the video got the Eye of Horus in front of her face.
Right. Yeah, I saw that.
So that, you know, that kind of thing, there's all this occult symbolism in all of these videos. And it's the Illuminati using pop music to make it okay. You know,
to infiltrate.
Yeah. And, you know, even when you're looking at some of these great websites dedicated to this, you know, one of my favorites is 33 Signs That the Illuminati is Real off everybody's favorite clickbait site, BuzzFeed.
I was going to say, this cannot be real.
Well,
the first handful of them, I'm like, okay, yeah. And then you get like, as it goes on, it gets goofier and goofier. And then you're like, okay, this is a parody. This cannot be real. But anyway, sorry,
right.
Go ahead.
Well, they connect the bell in the Taco Bell symbol.
That one makes me laugh.
With the Eye of Horus.
I mean, okay, if you go online, go to the show notes, othersidepodcast.com/29. We'll have a link there. But I mean, the inner part of the Taco Bell really, actually, it does look like an evil eye.
It looks like, you know, it looks like an eye of a hawk or something. You know?
But I mean, I don't know. That's
the all-seeing eye is at Taco Bell. So when you're getting your munchies on or whatever at 2:30 in the morning,
the cheap food,
you are serving the Illuminati. You know, okay, so like in Lady Gaga's Bad Romance video, another thing they show her that
she's really in this. Like,
yeah, well, she uses so much symbolism, and she was, you know, probably the most identifiable pop star of the past decade.
Yeah.
And since she's always doing crazy stuff, you know, she's obviously somebody they're going to focus on. And she's got a thing like in the Bad Romance video, she's holding a V up to her eye and like looking through it like it's a triangle, like it's the triangle on top of the dollar bill.
Okay. So
go ahead.
It's starting to sound like these signs are found everywhere. I mean, perhaps with a bit of a stretch of the imagination, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, everything. The cover of The Dynasty by Jay-Z. You know, they show him making a triangle sign, like the outside of the eye with his hands. And of course, Kiss, you know, Paul Stanley's got a big eye, a big star around his eye. And Kiss, people used to say, stands for Knights in Satan's Service. And that was part of the thing. You know, if they're weird, they're hard rock, they're occult symbolism, and nobody saw their faces. They just performed with masks on and everything. So, you know,
the Knights in Satan's Service, just all they really want to do is rock and roll all day and party every night.
Right.
You know, that's kind of what I figured. I mean,
exactly. I never thought too much that Kiss was actually anything more than about money.
Yeah.
But, you know, all these different kind of symbolism and the Freemasons and stuff, just in our regular pop culture, you know, they even get down to Nicki Minaj's cleavage. And how?
Come on, see, that's where this is not real,
right? Obviously,
this is a joke. This is, I mean,
well, we got Madonna. So Madonna did an interview with Rolling Stone. Madonna does an interview with Rolling Stone, and she talks about a song called "The Illuminati" on her album Rebel Heart.
Okay, well, that's not subtle.
And She says, people often accuse me of being a member of the Illuminati, and I think in today's pop culture, the Illuminati is perceived as a group of powerful, successful people who are working behind the scenes to control the universe. Not people with consciousness, not people who are enlightened. So people were accusing me of being a member of the Illuminati, and I kept going, wait. So first, I had to figure out what that meant. And she says she knows who the real Illuminati are and where the word comes from, and that it's a group of scientists, artists, philosophers, and writers who came about during the Age of Enlightenment to illuminate the world, illuminate people's consciousness, and things like that.
And that's what her song is about then?
Yes, that's what she says her song is about. So
okay, I got to listen to that. I haven't heard that particular one yet.
So she said we had people like Shakespeare and Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo and Isaac Newton and all of these
Renaissance men.
And all of these great minds and great thinkers, they were called the Illuminati, which that's not true because they all existed well before the Illuminati. And they, it's nothing to do with Isaac Newton.
Well, maybe she's grouping the mindset of, a change in thinking and that type of thing.
Of the Enlightenment.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. But it's just so, people were also saying Katy Perry's halftime show. Remember, did you watch Katy Perry's?
Oh, yeah. I'm a big fan of Left Shark.
Yeah, the Left Shark. I love that guy. Yeah, and I did think her halftime show was something else.
It was fun.
I'm not the world's biggest Katy Perry fan, except for Hot and Cold. I love that song, Hot and Cold.
I like Katy. I'm a fan of her. I'll admit it.
Okay.
I confess. You heard it right here.
Wendy.
It's recorded for the rest of
Wendy likes Katy Perry. I'm
time.
tweeting that as soon as this is over.
Busted. I'm so busted. Yeah. But the halftime show is the only reason I watched the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Sports ball.
Right. I mean, the Packers weren't in it, so I couldn't care.
Right.
Yeah.
The
quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks was the Wisconsin Badgers quarterback. So I guess.
Yes, I know. He's awesome too. Russell Wilson, you're talking about?
Yeah. I didn't know who Russell Wilson was, to tell you the truth. I was at a social media seminar in September, and I do some kind of thing talking about Aaron Rodgers, who's the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, for State Farm Insurance. And the American Family social media team was there. And I said, sorry, guys, I have to talk about State Farm. And somebody goes, why don't you talk about Russell Wilson and the American Family ads? And I go, Russell who? And I almost got...
Oh, man.
Yeah, right. I almost got food.
In Madison, Wisconsin.
Right. I'm like, what? And everybody's like, wow. Oops. I'm like, I know who Russell Crowe is, thinking I'm funny, but I'm really just a jack.
I know who Russell Crowe is, and I know who Woodrow Wilson is.
I think I said...
Does that help?
I think I said I know who Russell Crowe is, and I know who Luke Wilson is.
Wow.
What a jerk.
That's awesome.
Everybody...
Okay.
I'm surprised they just end. They're like, okay, this seminar is done.
It's like Showtime at the Apollo. The guy comes out and scoops you off the stage.
Right.
He's done.
With the hood. He takes me and gives me the hood.
Right.
So, no, but Katy Perry's halftime show, they just talk about all the crazy, the symbolism in that, and that she had a dress that was satanic.
Hmm?
Yeah, because like in her song Dark Horse and stuff, she's using that Egyptian imagery and everything. And with focus on bringing light to the world's biggest satanic ritual, masquerading as a big sporting event. And there's a blog called The Vigilant Christian.
Come on.
And they're looking at how Katie was this year's chosen puppet who wore a Baphomet. Baphomet is one of Satan's demons, like one of his lieutenants.
Okay.
Wore a Baphomet dress in the middle of the event. And it just... little thing, like they're just looking for all that kind of occult symbolism and everything.
Yeah, again, I mean, when you use your imagination, you can find any kind of symbolism or meaning in anything, really.
Right. Well, people use that with the rock fist, the devil horns.
Oh yeah, right. We talked about that at one point too, like the origin of that and everything. But
yeah, and so and one website has a picture of all these world leaders doing the devil horns, which the rock fist, and I'm like, that's
so awesome.
Everybody from Silvio Berlusconi, George Bush, of course, he's always featured heavily in every conspiracy theory because his dad was president, he was president. Also, he was a member of the Skull and Bones Society at Yale,
right?
And it even has Sarah Palin throwing up the rock fist and stuff.
Yeah.
If you think the Illuminati has Sarah Palin in it, then I can't help you. but all this different kind of symbolism that people say is in pop music. And if you can do a Google search for Illuminati pop music anytime, and you will find every single thing about it. But
there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff on the Illuminati, but that's just kind of the primer. If you were wondering what it was, and what the people are talking about, whether it's going to be Jay-Z and Beyonce or Madonna or Lady Gaga or whatever, and their participation in the New World Order and the Illuminati, I hope that helped clear some of that up for you.
That was fun, and everybody can go hit up the show notes, and that'll start you on your little excursion into the the link maze of wonder.
Yeah, and
that is the internet.
And I want to, in the future, I want to do episodes that focus on like one particular aspect of the occult symbolism they use. And so this is kind of just the primer. And we'll definitely be talking more about the New World Order and conspiracy theories. I mean, Pat Robertson even wrote the titles of one of his books is The New World Order. And if you think about the kind of influence that Pat Robertson wields as the owner of the Christian Broadcasting Network and how many millions of people watch his stuff, that's a pretty major influence on American society.
I'll say. Yeah,
So,
indeed.
Anyway, the Illuminati is watching you. They are listening to this podcast. And what I would do probably is don't drink the water because it's got fluoride. And,
All right.
And you want to make sure that your mind is in control from the water you drink. But
that indeed we do.
But if you don't drink water with fluoride, I just recommend you floss. That's just you better.
Please.
You better floss, son. Okay. Well, let's get to the music portion. This is a song inspired by conspiracy theories and the Illuminati. This track is called Byzantium.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at OthersidePodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.